Technology. It's everywhere. It's all around us. We all use it. When it works, it's great. The coffee maker comes out, the coffee comes out of the coffee maker, it goes down, it goes into the cup. It's wonderful. But when you're in the middle of St. Louis and you're looking for Whole Foods and it tells you that it's in the middle of a farm somewhere, and you go to that farm and you look around and you go, where is it? That's when you want to throw it out the window or hit it with a hammer, you know? But the reality is that technology is an important part of our life, and we use it all the time and in almost everything that we do in our society. And I believe that if we are to become contributing members of our society, then we must all have some level of technological education. Dr. Clowey, former Dean of Engineering at Princeton University, has suggested the following for us to think about. Why do we need to have a technological education? Well, first of all, because not only does it affect our lives today, but it affects us throughout our lives. We use technology when we're born. Technology is important. At a hospital, if an emergency comes up, it's there to help us out. Technology not only brings us to where we learn, to school, but it also affects how we learn and what we learn and with whom we learn it. Technology then, of course, is an important part of our life when we have a job. It affects what we do, how we do it, with whom we do it, and where we do it even. And interestingly enough, technology can play an important part in our death. If you Google ashes in space, you will get like 29 million hits or some ridiculous number like that. And there are a lot of companies out there that for the low, low price of approximately $2,000 will send your loved one into space. Now, don't get too excited, okay? I mean, this is after, this is not now, okay? But anyway, so it's everywhere, throughout our lives, okay? Why else do we need to know about technology? Because technology changes so quickly. Just take a look at that cell phone that you're holding now and think about what you had 3, 4, 5 years ago. I still have a Samsung 4, by the way, and it works just fine, thank you very much. All right, but the development, every year there's a new phone that comes out. The impact of society, the impact of technology on society is tremendous. Because of technological developments, we can now travel. Migration is a lot easier than it's ever been before. And I'm not just talking about people, but I'm also talking about viruses. And when we talk about viruses, it's not just the biological viruses that can travel a lot easier now, it's the computer viruses that can travel a lot easier now, thanks to technology. And ultimately, I think what I'd like to visit with you about is technological education is important for everybody because it is out of the general population that we will have our future leaders arise. These folks are going to be working on important issues, important technological decisions are going to have to be made. And wouldn't it be nice to have those individuals who are making decisions about technological issues have some technological training behind them? I think it is. The reach that these decisions have will be tremendous because of technology. Now, sometimes this is a good idea. I mean, if you have a question about something, chances are somebody else had that exact same question, and if you're lucky, they even put an answer out there for you. So this interconnectivity, it could be a good thing. But this interconnectivity, sometimes it can run into, it can lead to unintended consequences. Technology does play a role in climate change. Okay? Technology does play a role in the spread of disease. Technology does play a role in the financial meltdowns that have happened over the last few years in some countries. Okay? So these problems are not simple problems. They're not a simple problem that affect only one nation and only a certain group of people will solve. Leaders will have to work with each other all around the globe. Okay? They're going to have to make technological decisions that are going to affect life throughout the planet, not just in their own little world, not just in their own little company. So, how do we do this? How do we provide some level of technological education, technological instruction to our future leaders. We don't know who they are, but everybody needs to have some sort of technological education, I believe. Well, at our schools and at our colleges, of course, is a great place to start. There's only a small problem. There's one small problem to think about for now. National Education Association conducted a study recently and has indicated that the educational programs that we have in place today were designed for a society that no longer exists. The programs, the way we teach, what we teach, was designed for a society in the 1950s. So not only do we have to change how we teach and what we teach, but we also have to make it accessible to a much wider audience. Some of the things we can do, and we're already doing some of these things, but I think there's some improvements and some advancements that we can do. We have team-based projects. I see some students here, and some of them already have been through and are going to go through some team-based projects. But the interesting thing here is, let's not just involve students maybe during O week, and then they don't see a design group project until graduation. Let's involve students throughout their curriculum and in all disciplines, working together, so they can get an appreciation for working with other disciplines, not just engineers working with engineers, for example. Let's have these teams be small teams. Let's make them 3 to 4 people. And that way, because there's so many things to do, students are going to be forced out of their comfort zone. They're going to have to tackle challenges that they may have always ignored, never wanted to do, but they're going to grow, they're going to mature, they're going to experience and experiment doing different things that they didn't think maybe that they had to do. Let's also involve students from around the world in these projects at the same time. This, I think, will bring in a global context to the problems that we're solving, to the designs that we're creating. American Society of Engineering Education calls us classrooms without borders. And you've heard about Doctors Without Borders and Engineers Without Borders. It's classrooms without borders. And the idea here is to provide some cultural and global context to the solutions that we're developing, so that we're not just focusing on working on a problem that's only going to work here and in this country and in this particular instance, but maybe this can be a global solution to a global problem where global sensitivities have to be taken into account. I also believe that the arts play a very important part, can play a very important part in this process. If you think about it, art and engineering has had a very close synergistic relationship since the very beginning. Technology allows artists perhaps to expand the reach of their work, perhaps expand the power of the message they're trying to spend. And the arts, of course, then help technologists maybe design more aesthetically pleasing creations. All right? So there was this interconnection that I think we can build upon. If we take a look at some artistic works throughout the country, this is the Crown Fountain in Chicago, in Millennium Park, and there are these huge 50-foot tall towers. And there are these LED images that constantly change, and sometimes in the hot days, they spew water out of their mouth in the right place, okay, at the right time. Surprising and amazing people that either expect it and want it or don't expect it. It can be interesting. What a great opportunity to show and highlight the interaction of technology and art and how they can work together. The Statue of Liberty. You know, on a windy day, if you squint your eyes a little bit, you can almost swear that her gown is flowing. Okay, what a wonderful piece of art. But if you take a tour, you see the incredible structural support system that is underneath her, and what a wonderful opportunity to engage the audience, to engage the tourists, and to highlight the importance of the structural component of this wonderful art piece. Laser light shows are a staple in a lot of planetarium exhibits, a lot of rock concerts. What a great opportunity to show the interconnection between light and fiber optics and transmission of data through this beautiful medium. This is a wall of the arts building in Linz, Austria. Those windows are fake. Those are not windows, okay? What those are those are images on louvers that can change, that can rotate, that have LEDs on them. You can use it to create art. You can use it for advertising. But again, if you read more about it, you will learn and appreciate the technological aspect of making art happen. All right? So again, another great opportunity. This is often called the most beautiful bridge in the world. This is the Salginatoble Bridge in northeast Switzerland. It was designed by Swiss architect Robert Mayer in the early 1900s. And it is often used as an example of the wonderment of the way it spans the gorge and works with both sides, and the concrete appears to flow from one end to the other. Aesthetics can be taught as part of the engineering design process. I think it's a great example for how we can do that. These are, of course, big examples, big things, this is big art. What can we do on a small scale level, maybe as individuals? Well, there are lots of things we can do. This is an example of recycled art. If you look closely, you'll see the butterfly's antenna are bicycle handles, okay? And you'll see some other things in there. You'll see cans, and maybe there's a distributor cap in there. It's made out of garbage. What a great idea to take garbage and make it into art. It was a wonderful way to say where this garbage came from, how much of this garbage is out there, and as politicians and decision makers walk through the exhibit and walk through the display, a great opportunity to educate them about the problems that they are facing and that they have to work at these problems. So you can get the message across, I think, in a very creative way. Fractal art. Fractals are mathematical construct, but when programmed properly in a computer and displayed with lasers or on a computer screen, they're beautiful. It's an amazing thing. And so you can use this example to educate the audience, to educate the viewers about some of the mathematics that goes into this. And chaos theory is just one step away. And once you talk about chaos theory, then you talk about forecasting and future and decision makers and the effects that decision makers have on the world. It's all tied together. When the museum is going to start say a display on fractals, why not get a mathematician and an artist to sit down and explain to the audience much in a similar fashion to this, or in a similar fashion to the pre-show lecture that you'll see at concerts and operas sometimes, and explain to the audience that's interested, well, this is the mathematics behind it, this is the art behind it, and then we'll see how it works together. When the exhibit is done, have them come back and talk about this some more. What worked? What didn't work? All right? So you can engage the audience. And you will see leaders in your audience. You will see decision makers in your audience. And they will understand perhaps a little bit more about what is going on in their society. Artist in the classroom is not a new idea, but I suggest that we can have an artist in the classroom, not in an art classroom, but in an engineering classroom. So if there is an artist in the environment, in the city or town, let's bring the artist into a structural design class. Let's bring the artist into a computer class and show the power that art can play in your design. And if you think of art and design in computers and phones and electronics, you start to think of Apple right away, a company well known for bringing art and technology together for the betterment of both. This looks like a cactus. It's more than a cactus. It's a cell phone tower. Surprise! Who enjoys driving down the highway and seeing tower after tower after cell phone tower after tower? But you can disguise them. You can hide them. This is called camouflage art. All right? So an example of what you can do with art and technology working together. To the unknowing eye, this looks like a church steeple. All right? If you look a little closer, on your left, you'll see it doesn't look quite right, and some of the bricks have wires coming out of them. That's another cell phone tower hiding in plain sight. Another example of how art and technology can work together. Oh, so cute, right? I thought this would be a nice way to kind of wrap things up. An image of two puppies on a float. and they probably bark and talk and wag their tongues and flip their ears, flop their ears, you know. How does that all happen? That happens, this is a beautiful thing to watch. It makes a point, but it happens through technology. It happens through all of the structure and electronics that goes into making it happen. So why not bring the artists who design the float together with the technologists who work on making the float happen and have that as a way of involving students in a class where you can, again, explore the interaction between art and technology. In the end, I believe that if we do this, if we find a way to bring some basic level of technological education to everybody, we will achieve several important goals. We will bring a sector of society that normally has not been included in this type of education. We will bring them in, we will provide this education, and they can then grow the leaders that will have the technological background to make smart decisions about our future. And ultimately, our society as a whole will benefit, because many different aspects of society will work together, and we can then move our society into its proper future. So thank you for your time, and appreciate everybody being here.